massive changes to how you see their content on Raw, SmackDown, and the biggest party of the summer, Summerslam. Will they be going down in Florida at the Performance Center? It looks like they may not be. And for sure, it looks like they will be live, not taped. This is a special breaking news report from WrestleZone. What is up? I am Kevin Kellum. Joining me as always is the guy who's down in Florida where WWE tapes their stuff. But it looks like they're going to be leaving his state quite soon. Robert DeFelice. This is breaking news from our friends over at PWI Insider as well as at WrestleVotes. We aggregate. We're the aggregation era, baby. And we've put all this together for you. It's up now at WrestleZone.com. This is big news.
This is big news. So WrestleVotes got out ahead of this on a tweet that said their plan, WWE's new plan is to start live programming beginning with the Smackdown prior to SummerSlam, continuing throughout the weekend with the pay-per-view and into Raw. Fans are still to be determined, one location for all. Not certain on the exact location as of yet, but NXT TakeOver will still take place in Orlando. Now, they're not even at the Performance Center NXT. They've been taping all of their stuff in a closed set at Full Sail University, which is their normal home as it is. Now, PWI...
That's been a common thing. A lot of people think everything's from the Performance Center because it looks relatively the same.
Right, but PWI confirmed this. Fightful, the team over there, has also been able to confirm this. So they're going, it appears, to be live. Now, it's important to say that even though it says location to be determined, we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, WWE can go live from the Performance Center. But it looks like everything we've heard says they were desperate and they needed to get out of the Performance Center. So it looks like we're getting out of the Performance Center with live content starting with the Friday before SummerSlam. So that would be Friday, August 20th. Or not the 21st, sorry. So that's going to be interesting stuff. It's going to be major developments for WWE.
Do you think this is an improvement on the surface? It seems like it could be. Now, obviously, there's a lot of fans that are going to question how safe this is. What is the protocol? What are the logistics of actually doing this? We've heard about this for a while. We've been talking about it on the WrestleZone podcast and our live streams here on Facebook and YouTube. You can go check out those videos, go subscribe to the podcast, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, this is something fans want. They want something that looks different. You can argue that the Raw Underground experiment, which is still very, very new and was presented this week on Monday Night Raw, it ruffled some feathers. People kind of laughed at it. People kind of memed it up, but it got some attention. And a lot of people didn't say they didn't want to see more. There did seem to be sense of, I want it to be different, but I'd like to see more. What do you even think of the idea of this? People asking us where this location is. Based on the information we got today from PWI Insider and WrestleVotes, we don't know the location. The most we know is that it would be in the northeastern region of the United States.
We can't even say that. We know that they were targeting the northeastern region.
And we've heard Atlantic City's boardwalk mentioned more than a few times in a bunch of different things, but nothing that we can, cemently say they're going to do it here, and they're going to do it with fans. The fans part is the least determined part. I think for sure it seems like this thing's on the move and it's getting out of Florida.
They could easily go live from Florida. We just know that they're going to go live. Like I really do want to hammer this home. We do not know. We know that they are making a major move to return to live programming. Now, that says something because a lot of things have been taped. WrestleMania this year was taped. The pandemic may be slowing down. I know in New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo said he gave the green light for all schools to return next month in September. They can return in person. That's a bit more iffy here in Florida. In New Jersey, it seems like their numbers are still. So the Northeast seems like a solid place to go, but so much can change between August 7th and August 21st.
And so much has. There was you and I have discussed this. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who's been so inviting to live sports, the NBA, Major League Soccer down there as well, wanting to get live sports going. in the month of July. Now, that's something he was saying back in early May. Now, obviously, the situation in Florida has gotten a lot worse with COVID cases, and them doing that would seem unreasonable. Yet you have Disney World open down there. So it's a scenario where I don't think doesn't mean the Performance Center is shutting down. We learned earlier this week that training sessions at the Performance Center are going to resume under regulations. On Monday. We do know that WWE has been doing a lot more testing. We knew the first week they initially started, enforced testing and mask rules and fines for not wearing a mask. They're hundreds of dollars, ranging on how many times you get caught without a mask on. And now that first week they did, just in the first few days, 1,500 tests. They don't have 1,500 people there. That meant they were testing people over and over again. So I mean, it is a situation where you got to think: you're taking a risk by doing a show already? Is it more risky to run down on Florida, or is it better to get the operation out of there?
It might be better to get the operation out of there. This may be a time where WWE is looking at their business and saying, "All right, we've held steady content since March. Let's try to make a move."
Now, a lot of fans chiming in with where they would like to see the show in the Northeast, and a lot of people obviously are eyeing New York City. Now, New York City is the spiritual hometown of the WWE. Some people would love to see it at Madison Square Garden. I don't think that's going to happen. Even without fans, I think an empty Madison Square Garden would maybe there'd be something unique about running an empty Madison Square Garden show, but obviously it's not. You'd still have to pay those union prices to run Madison Square Garden, even if the room is empty. So I don't think it'd be cost effective there. And people, we have Omizzy 20 asking, "What's up with Boston?" Boston was the original advertised pre-pandemic location for WWE SummerSlam's residency. That would have included SmackDown, NXT TakeOver, SummerSlam, and the Raw after that SummerSlam. Now, that is obviously not happening. Massachusetts, one of the more stronger regions in the United States with COVID cases, but they said they don't want any gatherings that are large in any way, any remote way, past Labor Day, which would have not lined up with what they wanted with WWE and the time frame for SummerSlam here. WWE was trying to do something there. Michael Burns saying WWE at Barclays Center, Madison Square Garden, nothing like WWE in New York City. A lot of people saying that as well. Other people saying the Manhattan Center. Manhattan Center was a kind of ballroom rock and roll venue in New York City that they ran to do Monday Night Raw. Its initial days in the 90s. That's an indoor venue. It's too closed in. It's not an easy venue to run. You have to get a ring and all that set up multiple floors through elevators. And I've always heard that people, especially Ring of Honor, people have told me that it's not an easy building to run. And just in terms of logistics, and I don't think WWE wants any logistical challenges when they already have to do all this testing and they already have to monitor everyone. I do think if they run this event, it's going to be in a closed set scenario. I don't see fans there. And that scenario of them running on the boardwalk in Atlantic City does seem some intriguing, but then you have to deal with, inclement weather though, right?
That's right. I really think this is a test run for whatever they're going to do moving forward. I would not be surprised to say WWE does this and then they're right back to Florida. I don't think this means, okay, we're just going to start running Raw from the Barclays. It's like,
and that's also reasonable too. But the problem then is we have to think about the legality of this situation here with the Northeast and these policies change. I'm here in Illinois. We now have a 14-day enforced quarantine. How are you enforcing it? Between several different states that are in what is believed the red zone of what's bad. Now the Northeast has done that. At one point, Florida was doing that, where if you came into Florida, you would be on a 2-week quarantine if you were coming in from certain areas. How does WWE even begin to look at that situation if they're going to do their shows live and not tape out? That was the benefit of doing live TV here. The benefit of doing tape TV is you could tape. All right, we're going to tape 2 weeks of SmackDown, so We get a 2-week gap. If anyone shows even asymptomatically symptoms and they get exposed or they get infected by COVID-19, we can test and we can catch it. And that was done out of an abundance of safety, just another protocol. That's something that live sports can't do. They have to keep doing games as games are. WWE doesn't have to do that. It's entertainment. So that's the live part is the only part that really worries me the most in the sense of, all right, we're locked into these days. Whereas if you were only there for 2 days, you could keep everyone separated, get everything taped as far out as you can, and go ahead with it, But I think you have SummerSlam. There's a lot of premium content there. Are they doing any cinematic matches? A lot of logisticals get added. Logisticals. That's a professional word, isn't it, Robert? Logisticals. But
yes, very professional here, Kevin.
Yes, the logisticals are quite high. Other people are chiming in here. Maybe the ECW arena in Philadelphia. Are they not going to be in? Are we just assuming that they're going to be in New York, New Jersey?
We are just assuming, and I think that's a dangerous thing to do.
Other people have said, what about the headquarters of WWE? The headquarters, they use that for Money in the Bank. Yes, they did. They did get out of the Performance Center. That is the biggest thing they've done, kind of outside of the Boneyard match and the Swamp Fight and different things like that they filmed outside there. A lot of people chiming in here with their different takes. Are you intrigued by this? That's what I want to know from fans. If you're watching this on demand, if you're listening to this on our podcast feed, I want to know, what do you think of this? Does this make it more appealing to you? Are you more intrigued by what SummerSlam, that episode of Friday Night SmackDown and Raw could be? And does it make NXT less interesting to you because it won't be a part of this? It will be in the Performance Center. I would love to know what people think. What do you think, Robert?
I think it gives a different vibe to NXT, which is a much needed feeling for NXT. I am intrigued, but I'm concerned, Kevin. I've belabored this point enough on this podcast, but I am very much concerned for a lot of different reasons. There was a really good quote from Jesse Ventura that essentially said, we in this country, we're going to wind up on a negative end because we don't want to give up simple pleasures right now. And I think that is something that I'm seeing with not only SummerSlam, but with GCW and Warrior Wrestling in your neck of the woods. Is it time, you've been out in the Chicago area, is it time to start running shows in Chicago?
Well, I can tell you tonight in South Suburban Chicago, Warrior Wrestling is going to be running an event, and they've had many prominent people with them. Brian Cage at one point was their champion. Tessa Blanchard has been there as well. And they are running their event tonight on a football field. And Friday Night Fights, I believe, was the billing of it. And they've distributed their stuff all around the world on digital platforms. Don't have a television deal. But it's definitely like one of those big hotspots for independent wrestling. They don't run as frequently as other independents in the area. They definitely tend to be for hardcore fans, but families show up at their shows. So that creates a different challenge. Do families feel safer coming to their shows? Just because, kids don't get it nearly as much, but maybe teens do. So I'm waiting on reports on that. I know I have some people that are going to the show. It is a little bit of a trek away from me, and I'm not driving, so I wasn't planning on going, but I'm waiting to hear what the show is going to be like and maybe catch it out on the digital offering later on. Big shout out to our buddy Nick Houseman. He'll be doing a commentary on that show. Val Capone will be doing ring announcing on that show. I got to text with them a little bit today, so they're coming into it with a sense of reserve, but hope that it'll run okay. I think if you're in certain areas where you have enough distancing and you can run a show that feels like you're doing like a drive-in concert, that these things can be done with some mitigated risks.
This is what I will say. And
I know where you stand on it. I'm not saying I'm a proponent of it. I'm saying people are going to run stuff. If you're going to do it, try and reduce the risk as much as possible.
Here's what I will say. Knowing Nick Houseman, the person who will be doing commentary, and knowing his stance on a lot of things, I feel like Warrior would not be running if they didn't take maximum precautions. So
and that's on a school facility too. So I think there's a lot more like calm about how they're going to approach things. A lot more like reservation and thought put into everything.
I can genuinely say I feel excited to see and hear about how that show goes and to hear the measures that they took to keep everybody safe.
It's interesting here. Other people chiming in here. We have Russell Haddix. He listens to our show. Thank you so much, Russ. I know Russ says he's a truck driver, an essential worker, Illinois resident. I have a letter saying I'm allowed to be in and out of any location when need be. Now, that's another thing is WWE was deemed essential. That's a status you get to have where you do get to kind of travel in without the regulation that other common people do. I had that to go in and out of NBC Tower. I was working for Cumulus Media, but I didn't have that for anything else. I only had that to go there and back. And so it'll be interesting to see if they go into another part of the country. Is that state going to say you can do this, and this? Our athletic commission is going to come in. We're gonna observe everyone. We're gonna oversee your testing. It'll be interesting, because you look at other parts of North America, Canada specifically said, "Hey, Toronto Blue Jays, we know you're in Major League Baseball, but you can't play your games here." So it depends on where you are, and there's certain parts of the country that I think are going to be more accepting of it, like Florida has been, and some other parts of the country where New York, New Jersey, they feel safer now. They have had some upticks, but they feel better than obviously they feel a lot better than they did when they were like 25% of the cases in the country at one point. It'll be interesting. I understand the demand amongst fans and the demand within WWE to do this, but I hope it's done as safely as possible.
Yeah, and as soon as we know any little bit more, we will come back right with the breaking news. As soon if SmackDown says tonight, guess what? We're running Atlantic City, New Jersey. We'll be here. We'll be here as soon as they say it. We won't even talk to the show. We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here. And if we'll definitely try and get that. And obviously, WrestleZone.com should be where you were hitting first. Go there, refresh, man. We've been hitting some big news there today. Specifically,
let's tell the truth here, folks. You're going to go to Twitter first, but when you want an actual article, go to WrestleZone.com.
You're going to go to Twitter, and then you're going to ask everyone, like, wait, what's going on? And then you're like, oh, yeah, I have to go to an actual site with sources and reporting to find out what's going on. Okay, all right, yeah. It's a dumb It's a dumb trap we all fall into. I want my friend to tell me the thing that's going on, not the people that are actually understand what's going on to tell me what's going on. But yeah, if you're watching this, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. It is available on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and beyond. I know some people listen to us on Podcast Addict. Thank you to the people that put us in the top 100 of Cambodia. Cambodians are WrestleZonians. Thank you so much for that. Also, if you like watching wrestling stuff on YouTube, we're on YouTube. Okay. All right. You can put us right in your watch later queue with all the different stuff you want to watch from all the different people. We're right there. You want to watch people play video games for 4 hours? We'll take a little respite with us and go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. So you get all the content, all those different platforms. Audio, you just want the audio, you want the video, you want to stare at our faces? Completely understand. I don't like my face either. Okay,
neither do I. It's all good.
Oh, you don't like my face, Robert? Is that
I know I don't like my face. I don't know how I feel about your face, but I definitely don't like mine.
I think you have a wonderful face. I think you have a wonderful face. Okay, a wonderful face.
Well, thank you. Now I feel obligated to compliment you. Nice shirt, Kevin.
Oh, my Death by Pizza t-shirt?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd rather die by pizza than the other thing that people are worried about. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you. Other people with different takes here. A change of scenery, change of safety precautions as Florida is becoming risky. Yeah, some other people with different takes here. D. Red Tyler saying, if not a crowd, why would they leave Florida? Other people saying that if you can't get fans, why would you leave? There's some truth to that. I think that's a reasonable question to ask before we sign off here. Do we think fans are going to be there? I think that's the biggest question mark. If they're actually going to. You think they're going to have fans at this?
I think because at that point, like this lovely commenter said, why would you leave your setting to show it? Hey, look, we have nobody, but we're in a different area.
Yeah, good point here. Definitely. Why would you leave your setting if you can't even have crowds or something like that? I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with the idea of no fans, even if they move, and it's just a looking change. They did it with Money in the Bank, and it was such a fresh take on things. I wouldn't mind that wonderful backdrop of New York City skyline behind them, or over one side they have New York City, the other side they have like the boardwalk and the lit up Ferris wheel and all that stuff. That would be a fun look. It would look fun. It would feel different. And if that's something they did for, SummerSlam week, go for it. I think fans would be a lot more, I don't want to say understanding, I think is the first word that comes to mind. I think fans would understand why fans can't be there before with the excitement of, something different, and it would look and feel different. And as I've mentioned, it would be very much Americana to see a pro wrestling ring on the boardwalk in New Jersey, as the theory is. But who knows? Maybe it's somewhere else. The craziest thing I think they would do is Times Square. They did downtown in New York City.
That would be dangerous, but amazing.
Yeah, that would be dangerous, but amazing. How would you keep people from being around the ring? New York, New Jersey. What's a spot in New York? Come on, the region. Where would you throw the ring? Drop the ring down somewhere, like a pin, like on Google.
If I am dropping anywhere, I think Long Island is being a little overlooked here. Long Island.
How mad would Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder be if they did it in Long Island and he wasn't with WWE?
Listen, I think Mr. Ryder's house might be a backyard.
They already used his pool to tape an angle after they released him. Do you think they would go and do something here? That'd be ridiculous.
You never know, Kevin.
That would be ridiculous here. Other people, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're watching online, if you're listening to the podcast, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. Search WrestleZone. Look for that big WZ red and black logo like it's a wolf back in 1996. I love another great comment here from Russell chiming in from the truck here. He goes, on the boardwalk, the mayhem fun on the boardwalk. I'll be body slamming someone on the boardwalk. Right? Did that sound right?
I don't know if that sounded right, but it came out of your mouth, so let's roll with it.
And of course, Chris Morton saying, anywhere in Canada. Oh, Canada.
Canada's not the most outlandish idea.
No, and also Canada with the NHL is doing a great job now. 2 different bubbles, 2 different bubbles. Just do a Raw bubble and a Smackdown bubble. Oh yeah, all right. Come on now. Gotta get tested now at the border. That's what it's about. Keep your distance now. Don't keep that headlock on too long. like that stuff like that.
You never know. Mm-hmm. And while we're here, Kevin, there was another major breaking news today about shakeup. There was the shakeup at Warner Media.
Yes, we can touch on this, especially as we're live. This is affecting several different people in Warner Media, and specifically the name that we'll mention here is Kevin Riley. Kevin Riley was integral in the bringing All Elite Wrestling back to the main stage, bring pro wrestling back to Turner Broadcasting, which is under the Warner Media umbrella. And obviously WCW was there for a long, long time. And that was back in the good old days of the Monday Night Wars when wrestling was bigger than big. And of course, Riley was a big part of this. He is friendly with one Tony Khan, owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Fulham FC. And of course, the president of All Elite Wrestling, and the real money backer in getting this whole project off the ground. Now, it's worth noting, and this is the key thing that you really have to underline in all of this. Turner Broadcasting and Warner Media do not own All Elite Wrestling. They don't own it. They are licensing it. This is a TV contract, no different than maybe a deal, not the same money amount, obviously, as the NBA. It's not nearly as worth as much as the NBA is, but no different than that in terms of licensing and TV rights. Okay. And it's probably the most profitable. It's definitely the most profitable thing in terms of revenue right now for All Elite Wrestling. They are getting paid to produce content for a television company. Now, here is why you should be concerned if you are an All Elite Wrestling fan about this happening. Kevin Riley is your point man. He brought this product in. He signed it for its initial deal, and it's believed he's the one who signed its extension into 2023 after just a few months on TV. Very impressive. And because I know people overreact on the internet, and oh boy, have All Elite Wrestling fans overreacted this week on the internet about something they were supposed to get that they didn't get, and they counted down the minutes of what they thought they were going to get, and they didn't get it, and they want more of it, and don't you ask me to pay more money for it. So you can hear what I'm alluding to there. And so here's the thing, though. Riley is your guy if you're All Elite Wrestling. He's your guy. He's your connection to the office. And obviously, there's many other Warner people that are involved in this from marketing side, from the digital side. The presentation of All Elite Wrestling pay-per-views on BR Live, only domestically in the United States. Obviously, you can get them in other parts of the world through Fight.tv. But he is out. He is out at Warner Media as an executive, along with several other people. This is not a small shakeup. This is a bunch of sweeping changes at the executive level, and a company that just launched its own streaming service, HBO Max, just a few months ago. And some people saying that this is a response to the launch of HBO Max not being a big boom for the company as some were expecting or were hoping for. Though a Warner Media has a lot of investments in that in the long run with HBO Max, like that $20 million they've invested in just a remake of the Justice League movie from a few years ago. The proprietary rights that they have over everything with HBO, Adult Swim, different things like that. Note the word proprietary, stuff that they own. The other big things they have are still tied to other deals with other streaming platforms. Like HBO has different deals with movies. Some of those movies are getting off Netflix and now they're coming over to HBO Max, right? So why am I talking about all this? What's not on HBO Max that Warner Media broadcasts on their cable channels that's a wrestling show, Robert?
All Elite Wrestling and any other properties, be it Dynamite or Dark. I think this is... We don't know enough about the inner workings of Warner Media to be able to tell off the bat how big this is for AEW. But we do know that Tony Khan was very transparent about talking to his insider, which appears to be Kevin, at Warner Media, like a year before AEW was even a thing, about getting wrestling back on TNT. Now the question is, does this change the way All Elite Wrestling works? It's not like WCW where they own it, so one shakeup means everything changes. But let's see what happens. We do know that they're...
If I'm AEW, I'm concerned. I'm concerned here, and I'm not. This isn't like, oh, they're in trouble and they're going to get canceled or anything like that. But there's going to be some adaptability here. You know, you're gonna have to figure out this new world and this new team that you're working with. Robert, put it in a way that I think is a little bit more relatable to people. You get hired somewhere at an office. A guy hires you, and he has a new team of people. He's out the door. You don't know who your boss is. You don't know what those changes are. You don't know how you factor into those things, right? And on top of it, you're a freelancer. You're not even signed with the company. So now that's kind of how you have to observe it.
Experience. It's a nerve-wracking
and I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying I have all the answers. This is just in the last few hours, me trading a couple of texts with different people I know in the media world. And I asked the question to people I know, people that have worked with different companies like CAA, the Creative Artists Agency, one of the former big executives of that just went over to WWE, by the way. Kevin Kahn, no relation to Tony Khan. I know there's some people who wanted to tweet that out to me earlier this week. But why are these moves important? Why should you be observing them? If you're a fan of this product and you follow it like it's news, this is no different than like the commissioner of a league changing, and this is a pretty big deal. And you got to pay attention to it. And I don't think AEW is going to get canceled next week or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that. But I do think if you're looking at this product, you're thinking, all right, we're spending how much money on it? It's getting us this male 18 to 49 demo, but don't we already get that with sports? Don't we already get that with a bigger sports package? Is this a product that maybe we should only put behind a paywall on HBO Max? Then do we have to change that deal? I've heard a lot of fans say to me, like, well, if they're on TNT and TNT shows are on HBO Max, how come I can't just watch a pay-per-view on HBO Max? Because HBO Max doesn't have a live streaming option on it. It's just completely on-demand content. So we've had to tell some people like that. And that's clearly people that haven't tried HBO Max since it came out. So they're like, oh, I'll pay $50 for it instead of $50 for a pay-per-view. I'll pay the $15 a month, right? So
yeah, well, here's what I'll say to round this out.
Mm-hmm.
AEW had one hell of a 2019. They opened up. They had a few successful pay-per-views. Got a hell of a TV deal on TNT. It's the middle of 2020, and they are going through some growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just this TV thing. It's a lot of things. If you've been following, you know what I'm talking about. I think I'm grateful that they're going through these growing pains so early in the process that we would be able to look back in 2 years and say, this didn't derail too much. It's actually sort of pushed things further along.
Yeah, but I agree. And I want people to be aware of what this is and what it possibly could be. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing, and the worst thing is, somebody comes in and says, I don't want this show on my network, and it's gone. Right. There's going to be people on the surface saying, well, it's doing these ratings and WCW was doing these ratings when it was canceled. So it's clearly in a position to get canceled. That doesn't mean anything. Okay. And here's why I'll break that down for you. When WCW went off the air with Warner and TNT, it was doing like 2 9s, 3 5s. It was doing very, very good wrestling numbers by 2020 standards. But those numbers in 2000, 2001, 2002 were not, they're completely different. Because first off, you had less than 100 channel options on basic cable. Now you have another 25 at least. And then you have a lot more tiers of cable. And this is like decades before YouTube was really becoming an option, before Netflix, before Hulu, before people were even DVRing stuff. That's pre-DVR. It's pre-on-demand. So those numbers are completely different and completely warped. When we talk about ratings numbers, 9 times out of 10, we only have access to about 40 to 50% of the information that people actually get on that TV show that we can report publicly. So don't rush to that conclusion. And also a show that gets 900,000 viewers, 700,000 viewers, like a WWE NXT right now when they go head to head. Those numbers in comparison to back then, by scaling for today's market on TV, they're competitive numbers. So don't run with that. You're just looking at stuff completely on the surface. You got to go a little bit deeper. You know what I mean? Got to get your fingernails dirty and get down there a little bit more. All right, so we will follow all of this story as it develops. Tonight's SmackDown will certainly be interesting, following up the big Fiend angle from last week on SmackDown attacking Alexa Bliss. So we'll see where that goes. And obviously a whole lot more hype for SummerSlam from WWE this weekend. And we'll find out where they are going to land that ring, where they're going to drop that ring along the Northeast. They're going to drop it from a plane, right? They're just going to fly the plane down, and Vince is going to say, like, right there, that looks like a good spot.
I absolutely think they're just going to drop it from a plane.
Central Park. Dude, what if they do it in Central Park? Just drop the ring in Central Park. Everyone 6 feet away, Central Park. I'm not opposed to it.
You never know.
You never know. And when we know, we'll let you know at WrestleZone.com. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for joining us for this kind of breaking news video. That we got this news late on a Friday afternoon. We felt the need to rally. I was at dinner, and Robert's like, "Get home. We gotta do a show." And I was like, "Yes, we have to." I had an Oreo shake in my hand, and I spiked it on the ground. I said, "We gotta go."
You know what? Damn it, I'm sorry. I apologize. That shake was delicious.
Robert, never apologize. It turned into soup, and no one likes ice cream soup, and neither do I. I have a duty, a wrestling duty, and I got right on it. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show.
That ice cream soup too. I don't know.
Come on, what is with you? He always goes after my food choices. This isn't fair. This is not fair. This is not fair at all.
I care about your well-being, Kevin. We've been over this.
Oh yeah. All right. Okay. I'll see you on Monday night. Okay. How about that? I'll see you on Monday night.
Enjoy wrestling, everybody.
All right. Enjoy wrestling. Bye.